Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking something that usually causes a massive amount of anxiety in the maritime industry, compliance inspections, and we're going to transform all that panic into absolute mastery. We're literally opening up a veteran chief engineer's playbook to see exactly how the absolute best in the business prepare their engine rooms for port state control. So whether you're a seasoned mariner or just, fascinated by high-stakes operations, there is a ton of incredible strategy to unpack here. Let's dive right in. To really get the stakes here, you have to understand the feeling. There's this very specific, just stomach-dropping sensation that hits a junior engineer when the agent calls the ship, say, 30 minutes before arrival, and utters those dreaded words, U.S. Coast Guard is waiting on the dock. Right? It's a high-pressure moment that instantly tests the true readiness of the entire crew. And how crews react to that phone call? It's like night and day. For an unprepared crew, a 30-minute warning induces pure chaos. It's a mad scramble. But for a seasoned professional, it's just game time. They don't scramble because, well, their preparation didn't start 30 minutes ago. It actually started months ago. Which brings us to the core philosophy of this whole explainer, the zero detention mindset. The crucial takeaway here is that ships aren't detained because of bad luck. No way. They are detained because of bad habits. Port state control officers, whether they're enforcing the Paris or Tokyo MOUs or the U.S. Coast Guard, they are highly trained to smell fear and neglect. And if they smell it, they're going to dig. But here's the secret. They aren't actually looking for absolute perfection. They are looking for competence. Building a zero detention mindset means creating a proactive, bulletproof engine room culture, 365 days a year. All right, moving on to Section 1, the 30-second impression, which is all about inspection psychology. So inspection psychology is very real. An inspector makes, get this, 80% of their decisions within the first 30 seconds of stepping into your engine control room, or just walking onto the bottom plates. If the first thing they see is this dark, gloomy engine room with dirty rags tied around leaking pipes, you've already failed. You've basically broadcasted a reactive culture. But step into a proactive engine room. Every single fluorescent tube is working. The bilges are dry. They're painted bright white. In the inspector's mind, brightness equals safety. Those clean bottom plates instantly disarm a surveyor because it shows you are in total control of the space. Now let's look at Section 2, the big three killers when it comes to detention causes. A burnt-out light bulb might get you a minor Code 17 deficiency, basically a slap on the wrist. But fail one of the big three systems, that's a Code 30. That is an immediate detention that stops your ship dead in its tracks. You're not leaving port. So what actually ends careers? It's the first of our big three, the Oil Water Separator, or OWS. You literally cannot just hope this piece of machinery works on the day, and you definitely can't just run it on recirculation. You've got to follow rigorous physical steps. First, open the sample line and verify it's totally clear. Then, you have to manually trigger the 15 ppm alarm. Now, when you do that, the three-way valve must cycle immediately. If it's sluggish at all, fix it. And finally, and this is a big one, surveyors are always hunting for bypasses, so you need to ensure there are absolutely no unauthorized flexible hoses or, magic pipes anywhere near the system. Moving on to the second most common cause of detention, the emergency generator. Now, it's not enough that the engine simply starts up. Surveyors want to see it actually take a load. A lot of crews can start it beautifully but then fail to build voltage or take the load of the steering gear. And here is a brilliant, kind of insider psychological tactic from the chief's playbook. During the inspection, step back. Let the junior engineers or the electrical officers start it. If they hesitate, the surveyor assumes the whole crew is untrained. But if they do it smoothly, it proves deep, crew-wide competence. The third of the big three would be the fire dampers and quick closing valves. These are notoriously neglected, mostly because they're just hard work to test. But beware of what we call the paint problem. Ships often have these vent louvers that look beautifully freshly painted, right? But the paint has actually frozen them solid. You must physically operate every single actuator and verify that the airlines aren't leaking before you even think about entering highly regulated US or European waters. Okay, Section 3. Let's look at steering and emergency systems, specifically SOLAS requirements. The regulations here are incredibly specific about timelines. Under SOLAS, that's the International Treaty for the Safety of Life at Sea, a comprehensive suite of checks must occur strictly within the 12 hours right before departure. And this is not just a quick visual glance. The crew has to physically check and test the main steering gear, the auxiliary gear, the remote control systems, and of course, the emergency power supplies.
And testing certainly doesn't stop once you leave port. SOLAS mandates that comprehensive emergency steering drills happen at least once every 3 months. This isn't just idly turning a wheel either. It requires actively practicing direct control from down inside the steering gear compartment itself, plus verifying all the communication procedures with the navigation bridge. The best part? You really don't have to guess what inspectors are looking for. By grabbing the actual Tokyo and Paris MOU's 2019 checklist for emergency systems, you are literally studying the test before you take it, familiarizing yourself with the exact criteria they use to evaluate your damage control plans and emergency readiness. It just removes the guesswork entirely. It's a total game changer. And to keep up with all those checklists, modern ships rely heavily on digital safety task reporting software. For instance, notice the weekly requirement for testing the public address system. You need to know those emergency announcements can be heard everywhere on board. Having consistent digital tracking like this proves to a surveyor that your maintenance is a disciplined routine, not just a last-minute scramble.
Next up is Section 4, the paper trail, focusing on logbook compliance.
Think of it this way. If the machinery is your ship's hardware, logbooks are the software. In the modern era, a simple clerical error in the oil record book, or ORB, is just as likely to get you detained as a dirty filter. So here are the absolute golden rules. First, when automating the Oil Water Separator, the ship's coordinates recorded under code C11.4 for machinery space operations must perfectly match the bridge logbook. Second, your weekly tank soundings in the ORB have to match the daily sounding log. Any discrepancies here are a massive red flag. They basically suggest the crew is hiding sludge. And finally, every single entry requires mandatory signatures from both the officer in charge and the chief. No exceptions.
Finally, Section 5, Managing the Surveyor, where we'll cover essential soft skills. These are the vital soft skills they definitely don't teach you in maritime college. First up is the escort strategy. Never, ever let a surveyor wander alone. The chief should shadow the lead surveyor and the second engineer shadows the junior. Next, answer only what is asked. If they ask, how is the incinerator, your answer is simply operational. Do not volunteer past issues. Silence is golden here. And lastly, the immediate rectification tactic. If they point out, say, a missing label, don't argue about it. Call the fitter and fix it immediately. Fixing a small fault right on the spot can very often turn a formal deficiency into just a simple, harmless observation. And remember, your proactive management shouldn't just happen deep inside the ship. Before the pilot even boards, the chief should be out looking at the funnel stack. In today's super strict emission control areas, visible smoke is just an open invitation for an inspection. Taking the time to adjust your scavenge air temperatures and ensuring you have pristine atomizers before maneuvering, that guarantees a clean stack. It proves to the authorities looking from the shore that your engines are perfectly tuned and your crew actually cares. Ultimately, cultivating this culture means maintaining the vessel as if a surveyor is standing right over your shoulder every single day at sea. It means actually sleeping well at night because you know for sure your alarms function and your crew is trained. So I'll leave you with this question to ask yourself and your teams. Do you fear the inspection or do you master the machinery? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and here's to building a bulletproof culture in whatever it is you operate.